All right, welcome back to Targeted. Today in World War Studio, I have brought in a local legend. He's a veteran. He served in the Air Force Security Forces. Then he went out to be a contractor in Blackwater. His book is amazing. It's called Guns, Girls, and Greed.
You know, when MASH got popular, like 20 years after Vietnam, I think we're almost at that point now with the global war on terror that people can look back on it and see the seriousness of it, but not take it as serious as they had been.
I mean, let's do an example because we did this earlier. You were explaining a situation and you're like, I almost wanted to swipe right on this danger close event. Go there. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, so Blackwater is like going on Tinder and seeing this big booty goth girl and swiping right. Like, you know that it's going to be an adventure. You know it's not going to last very long, but you just hope you live long enough to tell some stories to your buddies. And that was Blackwater. Like, especially in the early days, that was Blackwater. Just the craziest thing, make it up as you go to the pool and just get wasted out of your brain and then do it again the next day.
Yeah. See, I don't think a lot of people would understand that in their professional settings or what they would call their professional settings. But yeah, man, I get what you're saying because the way I always put it is when I was working at the White House, people didn't know I was in the military. So they would think I was just like them, right? If you look like people, they treat you like you belong. And one of them was talking crap about someone they knew was in the military. And I was like, I'm in the military. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry you have to be in the military. And I'm like, what? I was like, that's why they don't laugh at my jokes. That explains a lot, actually.
Yeah, I get it. They actually feel sorry for me. Like I'm in the Paralympics over here.
No, man. I mean, I had some things happen. We had people crashing. It's like our vehicle was an up armored vehicle and it would crash into a Secret Service vehicle because it was up armored. It didn't have technologies or whatever. So then that would turn into like, oh my gosh, these girls can't drive. Why weren't you driving, man? There's two people on this team and you let the girl drive. I was just joking, obviously. Yeah. But those kind of jokes, you can't say that back then. You just couldn't say that. But I could in my environment.
Yeah.
And everyone would laugh and chuckle, knowing that it didn't mean anything. It was just like, it was going to happen anyways.
So we were flying in. So we jumped on the Little Birds. I remember it was a Friday because I was really hungover. I was so hungover. And I had long hair. I had my beard. And they were like, hey, you're going to go over and protect John Bolton, the ambassador. And I thought it was like the saxophone player. So I get over there and they're like, no, he's the head of the UN or whatever it is. We fly from the green zone over to Victory Base. And it's maybe a 4-minute ride. It's very fast. And we land and I hop off and this PFC, it's Army PFC, is like, how's the hunting? And I was like, I'm really hungover, dude. Can you like grab me a Gatorade? Like that would be awesome. And he's like, yeah. But how's the hunting? And I was like, I protect diplomats. I'm just over here. There's this guy who plays a saxophone. I got to protect him for it. And he's like, yeah, I get it, but how's the hunting? And I was like, dude, the hunting's good. That's fine. Can I just get a Gatorade at this point? Like no matter how much I was trying to give him the absolute truth, he was like, he just wouldn't have it. And you got, that's the thing is you got treated, even from the military, you kind of got treated separate. And then the junior enlisted were like, we love those dudes. Like, can you give me this? Plus we had access to alcohol. So yeah, we were very popular.
Hands down, very popular at that moment.
Yeah.
Everyone else was shipping out their alcohol in water bottles named Listerine.
Yeah, or Sprite. They do Sprite bottles.
Sprite bottles.
Yeah, yes.
It's always interesting to see the different dynamics in the teams and what everyone thinks is happening. But yeah, I've seen that too. So when I was in Comic-Con, I went to the gun store to get just to get a peep at what was locally available. And they had, something on the wall. It said, thank you for helping out. It was my unit. I was like, oh, it's cool plaque. They're like, those guys are badasses. I'm like, I work with a lot of them. A lot of them are not. But so, yeah, there are some badasses everywhere. So, yeah. But no, it's amazing the public perception. And in this case, the wartime perception of what people do, it's always grandiose, man. It was always fun. So I'm glad that there's a book about it that's making making headway.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing that I tried to express about Blackwater. There weren't enough Navy SEALs in the world to fill this contract. Now, if you go down to a bar in downtown San Diego, every guy there's a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, always.
But in real life, there just weren't enough, right? So that's when it was like, hey, we need, your military police, your security forces, your like infantry guys. So a lot of us were not like the SF who we were just, military police came over there. You do the job just fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so a lot of the contract in Blackwater goes to those guys. So if you know somebody that is in special forces or special operations, usually then once they trust you, it's in. That's the good thing about that community. In special operations, they don't let insiders drift and they don't let outsiders in.
Yeah.
So whenever you're good with the community, you're usually good to go unless you're doing like some of the military influence with vet bros now. What are your thoughts on military influencers nowadays? You have a favorite?
Yeah, I mean, Tim Kennedy's my favorite just because it is an absolute shit show.
Right.
So having written a book, like I wrote my entire book. A lot of these guys, they have people that write the books for ghostwriters.
Yep.
And I think what happens is when I'm explaining something that happens, you give it to a guy that has no military experience and he's writing it down. And then he's like, I could probably add a little here and, I can make this a little bit more tasty over here.
Yeah.
Right. Because most of us military guys are pretty humble about what we've done.
Yeah. Built in.
That said, like, it's still your book.
Yeah.
It's still your name on that book. I read my book probably 10 times before it published just to make sure that everything in there, and I will stand by it to this day. So I get I get why they're doing it, right? I mean, most of them are retired. They're, let's say you make $1,000 a month. Hey, why the heck not?
Yeah, Tim Kennedy is not. So yeah, let's talk about Tim. I've talked to Tim once in my life. He's a friend of a friend. And he's an MMA guy. So one of my friends is a pro MMA guy. And when Tim started getting attacked, this was right after Jocko. Called him. Say, hey man, what's going on? He's like, this is fake. All this stuff is bullshit. They tried to get Jocko too. Didn't get anything with Jocko. They're not going to get me. That's how it goes. Mind you, I don't know this guy.
Yeah.
So I started asking my community that I came out of. I was like, hey, what do you guys think about this guy? Because I didn't work with him. And they're like, thumbs down. They gave me the old hard disapprove, like, screw that guy. I'm like, wow. So I started telling my friends in the MMA community, hey, they think this of him. They're like, well, he's still a Green Beret. He's still got Ranger tab. He's still serving his country. I'm like, yep. But there's one thing about the veteran community that most people don't know. If you screw up in our community, it's never forgotten about.
No, it's like leprosy. Yeah.
It's never forgotten about. So if you take a liberty, if you take an embellishment, if you make it something it is not, it's going to come back. The hard part for people who are in the limelight, like I've been chastised by my community a lot because nobody in my community talks. Like my real community, the one that no one knows about, they've been like, why are you talking about your time? Like, just get quiet professional. I'm like, let's talk about being a quiet professional. That doesn't mean what you think it means. So quiet professional was actually a coin termed by an Army doc. He was working for, I think, Delta at the time. It was Special Forces. And he was like, hey, you guys need to stop going out on mission broken. Yeah, you're being quiet in order to be a professional. Stop being a quiet professional and get your butt in here so we can fix you so that you're not putting your teammates at risk. That's where the term came from. But then quiet professional turned into secret squirrel stuff because of the public opinion we just talked about. People don't want to hear that. They want to hear about how cool you are.
Yeah.
Because people need heroes. So my recent vet bro experience is Ben Robert Smith. Have you heard of this guy? He's an Australian warrior.
Oh, yes, I have.
Yeah, he won the Victoria Cross for like knocking out the Taliban in Afghanistan. And now they're trying his own government has spent like $300 million to put him up for war crimes. And it's just despicable. This guy was a war hero. And now they're trying to pull them down. And I'm like, man, the world just doesn't want veterans to be successful in the entrepreneurial light. They don't want them to be influencers at all.
Well, and it doesn't matter. I could have written a book that was not funny, not enjoyable, didn't tell a story. And the Blackwater, but there's just a subset of veterans and stuff that are like, it's all horse crap. Like somebody's going to come at you. And look, we eat our own. We just absolutely
do, don't
veteran. Yeah. And then there's going to be probably, it's almost like the insurgency, right? Like there's 60% in the middle. They're like, oh, that's kind of neat. And then there's 10% or 20% on the top that are like, this guy's awesome. And then there's 20% on the bottom that are like, this guy's, every word in here is a lie. You can't even write the word "and" without it being a lie. So I mean, it's either way, you're going to catch hell if you put yourself out there. Because Blackwater, some of the Blackwater guys did that to me. They're like, what happened to being a quiet professional? And I was like, dude, you have a jacket that's got the big bear paw on the back and you ride it on your motorcycle. Like, come on. Let's not.
Yeah, let's not play this game.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's a whole thing, man. The world needs to see that a man can step up to man roles and do man things, and it's okay. It's okay for you to like guns. It's okay for you to like girls, and it's okay to have greed, because the world revolves around you being able to provide, and that's money. So as a man, the 3 things that you put on your book, man, they're very important, and then they're all taboo at the same time.
Yeah.
It's so rare. It's weird. But yeah, man, yeah, let's dive a little deeper into that, because the veteran community is hard on its own, and I'm not sure other communities are. Why do you think that is?
Because everybody did something cooler than everybody else, right? So in the Blackwater community, it turns out there's a lot of guys that would embellish what they did before they got to Blackwater. One guy's spending time in jail. His name is Marshall. Yeah. So he told everybody he was a force recon Marine. Blackwater never checked his DD-214. He actually moved all the way pretty much up the ranks at Blackwater. And then he got hooked in with a billionaire named Mike Gogan. And he's like, hey, Mike, I do black ops for the CIA. If you fund these black ops, we don't have to go through the reconciliation process of government. Give me some money and I'll go down to South America and I'll save kids and stuff. So this billionaire is giving him money, and then he's just going to Florida and blowing it. And that's when the whole thing came out, right? You weren't a recon Marine. You didn't do it. He was in the reserves for like 6 months and got kicked out for not showing up to drill. But that's why I think the veteran community just beats the hell out of each other, is because everybody sits there and says, there's these guys like Matt, there's these guys that lie. And then there's other guys that are just kind of trying to tell their story, and they kind of get caught up into that.
Yeah.
Right. Like your gear was always better clean than everybody else's gear when you were in the military, and you did. Whereas I think if everybody would just take a step back and be like, I did a cool job.
Yeah.
I did it in a cool place. Why can't I just be proud of that instead of waiting for somebody to get online and be like, well, I did a cooler job. Who cares?
Good.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. I'm there. So the biggest thing that I've noticed from people who aren't in the military that have had the limelight always on them is they're comfortable in who they are and what they've done. You know, John Maxwell says you have to do the did before you can do anything else. And he's a leadership expert. So you have to do something. What is it that you did? It doesn't matter to the person that you're trying to help usually. It's, are you capable of doing the job now? And will it give me results? But everyone's trying to promise things they can't deliver. And that, to me, is where the veteran community is like, whoa, Hoss. where did you come up with this story? Because they're used to correcting people like that.
No, that's fair.
And then if you don't correct your teammates, you die. So it's a quick correction. Like, no one's usually offended by it. But now I think we're taking it next level, man. I'm seeing all these, the anti-hero podcast is one of them. It's just like, let's go after people. Why, dude? I mean, okay, you got Tim Kennedy.
Yeah.
Tim Kennedy, you pulled out some clips where he said he had a Bronze Star with a V.
Right.
Okay, dude, you can't say that. But when you listen to the clip, he's like, yeah, it doesn't even sound like he's paying attention, which is arrogance. And I'm like, also don't like that. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man. But I worry about Tim because he's being attacked so much. Like, where's his mental state? So I mean, honestly, I texted him after he got really bashed. I'm like, you okay? And he just hits me up. Yep. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't understand what you did in the military anyway.
Right.
So making it extra cool, I don't think that helps a whole lot. Right?
You're gonna get found out.
You're either gonna be cool or you're not gonna be cool. And
Yeah.
you saying like, oh, and then this one time I did, and then coming up with something that you didn't do
Right.
is like, that's where you gotta draw the line somewhere.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you served in Iraq, especially in that crazy window,
Yeah.
don't make it out to be something that it wasn't, but at least tell your story. I mean, I wrote a book, so tell your story.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I told my story, and I went out there when it was crazy, and I didn't stay long. And then I went out there when we were trying to button it up, and we didn't do a good job of that because we still went back, And then I don't know if you've seen the recent footage of like drones going through Victory, but like the ISIS terrorist camps, the terrorist camps are all over that area, and they're still hitting the same targets over there, even if we're not there.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely nuts. That country's never going to be fun to be in, man. Never going to be a tourist hotspot. I'll just tell you that, right?
Which is a shame, right? Like,
It could be.
my aunt is like big into the church, and I grew up going to church, and she would pay thousands and thousands of dollars to see, the Gates of Babylon, which I got to see, the Tower of Babel, the Hanging Gardens, up in Kirkuk's, like where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown into the furnace. South of Iraq by Nasiriyah is where I think Abraham was buried, like the ziggurat of Abraham.
Yeah.
Like that's all that cool stuff that
It's biblical. Yeah.
And I think if they ever did, unscrew themselves enough, but they can't.
It's done.
The Sunnis, the Shias, the Kurds, they're always gonna fight.
Yeah, it's never going to be a restful situation up there. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it's weird being a tourist with a gun.
Yeah.
But that's the life, man. All right, so you're working on another book now. What's that going to be about?
So
Can you give us a peek?
yeah, you know what, I'm so tired of the whole veteran suicide thing, and where people are sitting there saying, oh, they served, so that's why 22 people a day are killing themselves. And then on the other side, it's like, well, you're not finding your purpose. I think it's a lot more complex than that, and that platitude of you served, somebody needs to dig into it. So I started writing a book about, the same military unit, the same instance that happened. I put it in Afghanistan, and then using a lot of the real life stuff where, like, I've had a family member, I've had, Blackwater guys. I mean, like, we've lost 3 in the last month. The suicide rate's extremely high.
Oh man,
Yeah, looks well. I mean, you don't come home to the ticker tape parade in the VA or like with your buddies, like so. But I want to dig into it a little bit to open up a conversation to say what happened before the military, what happened during, and what happened after. Because just being able to say that person served, so I kind of get it, is bullshit.
yeah.
So and the purpose thing. And since I have a second, purpose thing drives me up the frickin' wall.
Why?
So you go into the military, the first thing you do is, I'm an American fighting in the forces which guard my country and our way of life. I am prepared to give my life in their defense. Bam. Your purpose, your job, your everything is right there. Literally in that one thing that you say, General Order Number 1. I think that's what it's called. God, it's been a long time. And then people get out and they expect their purpose to be found in their career. So when veterans get out and everybody's like, well, find your purpose. Well, look, we're not all Goggins. We're not going to run 100 miles. Like, we're not Tim Kennedy to go fight MMA. We're not like Jocko to have a podcast. Like, we're not all those people.
Right.
And I think that what's being conflated is that you have to go do something purpose driven and be able to like show that you're a veteran and you're doing this, instead of just looking at it like the guys from World War II that came home and they had families and they provided for their families. And I'll be honest with you, man, like, watching my kids grow up is the coolest thing. And, I could talk about my daddy issues and all the other stuff, but like, if I go through life, even as cool as the stuff as I've done, and my kids are successful, then I'll have the purpose that I wanted. And that's what I work on every day. I'm like, got to get my dogs fed. I got to get them on a run. I got to kiss my wife in the morning, and I got to make sure that my kids have a good enough foundation where they can be good humans. That's a purpose. And if you can get that working at 7-Eleven and you have it on the side, go do it.
Yeah.
You don't need to be standing on top of the mountain and be like, I'm a veteran, to find your purpose.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point that's not made enough. Whenever people hear that you served, that usually gets followed by, I served too, or I would have. You know what I mean? It's like, don't do that, man. It's not for everybody. And you know what? Even if you served, serving in combat is different too. And even if the people who are serving, they are like, well, I never did what you did. But don't compare yourself to me. Do what you can do, man.
Yeah.
Your purpose is not mine. It's for you. I love how you say that, because the comparison game that we play, man.
Well, it's like, I was in Iraq, and it's like, oh, but you were a cook. Who cares?
Yeah.
Oh, I was at
You know how many cooks got shot at, by the way? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've talked to cooks that had to shoot back. I'm not sure if they hit anything. but they cooked dinner afterwards.
or mortared, or like
Yeah, all that stuff, man. It matters. Like the first time, look, man, I had total switch. Like when I was in Iraq, the second time, I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't do everything, man. I used to do the loop around BIOP, and I'd see people stuffing weapons in their trunks and stuff. I'm like, I don't care. What are you gonna do? You gonna catch me? Come catch me. I'm in red, man. Let's have a good day. I don't care, man. Let's make some memories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was acting like Billy Badass, but I had General North come out, who was the CENTCOM commander, and he pinned a Bronze Star on me. And when that happened, I was like, crap, man, I might get promoted. Like, this might be a big deal. I'm going to get command now. I mean, and then my life started to matter.
Yeah.
And like the bombs and stuff that were coming in all the time that we just didn't care about, they started to matter a lot more after I got a stupid medal and ribbon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this must be what everybody else feels like. Yeah. It just kind of clicked, right? Like they really care about their lives. Cause I really didn't. I'll tell you, man, I really did not care about my life at the time.
Oh, there's some people over there, even with Blackwater, that apparently had a lot more to live for than I did.
Yeah. I just like, right? Is this a different mindset? So what you explained earlier is tunnel vision, when your adrenaline kicks in and your body starts to work in overtime. So it feels like you can't move as fast and you see everything in slow-mo. It's just your brain's processing it for you so that you can actually survive.
Yeah.
Like that process, like that doesn't happen very much longer. After you experience that a couple times, it doesn't happen anymore. It just becomes normal.
Yeah. No, I mean, the first time it had was with the kids. The second time was in Baghdad. There was this red car coming up on the elevated highway. And I even had my face out the window like a Labrador looking at it. And it was coming at like 70, 80 miles an hour. And like, I flicked it off safe and everything. Like that was the thing, is just like everything slowed down. So like watching the impacts of your bullets, it's like, holy crap. And then as soon as it got out of the field of view, the gunner up top starts like hitting me on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And like, it just jolted me back up. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm back in it. We're good.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it?
It's there's a great book called On Killing that talks about it.
Yeah,
like
it
how
hurts
things. Yeah, and it is like,
yeah, he came out and talked to us before we went to Iraq the third time. And he was talking about the different psychological effects. I talk about it on our show a lot, you know. And for those who are just joining us, obviously slowing down your adrenaline, that's one of them. The other one is people freeze. Like, there's fight, flight, and freeze. So whenever people freeze, usually their body's doing something like peeing.
Yeah.
Or they're getting rid of whatever they ate so that the body can become lighter. And that's a combat result. Like they don't report it, but that's what happens. So I remember when I was assessing for I'm not going to say the unit. I was assessing for a unit. And one of the common questions they ask is, what do you do before combat? And my answer was, take a dump. I've never had that experience. Don't want it. So I always made sure I was empty before I went out to any potential danger. So you're going to pee yourself or worse. It's going to slow down. But the other one is tunnel vision, where everything just gets focused right in front of you. That's the third one that they talks about in the book. And, you know, you experience all over for different situations. That's what's not talked about. But Grossman, he openly says, you know, I've never experienced combat, never had to kill anybody. You know, I just talked to a lot of people that did. And that shifted my mind a lot, man. And I don't know.
The crazy part, like Blackwater, you think you're with all these like who are tough guys, and the people that would freeze. It was always shocking that anybody would freeze, right? And maybe it's an age thing, right? A lot of these guys were, you know, former military. They did 10, 15. They were in that window where you didn't get any, like, there was no wars.
Yeah.
So they'd gone back to normal civilian life. But we had one guy, they were taking indirect fire, and he was in the vehicle, and he locked everybody out of the vehicle. And they're pounding on it, like, let me in, dude. This is the only thing we have. And he just like froze up. And it's, the younger guys always did better for some reason. Like I worked with a lot of the guys that were in like Generation Kill.
Yeah.
Most guys always did great. They were younger, but I think to your point, as you get older, you have a lot more to live for. And maybe that just like was the first thing that came into their mind, as opposed to me, where I was like, I don't have anything at home.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not married anymore, but I was married to my ex at the time. Not a good wife. You know what I mean? Didn't support me much. And I'm like, well, if this is what I got to look forward to when I go back, whatever, you know? The other part that I always want to talk about, that doesn't get, I don't know. I want your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on PTSD?
I mean, dude, PTSD is hard because I think everybody has it a little bit different. When you go into that worm tunnel of a deployment and you're like, I drop off my laundry, I go and I get food, and then you come back and it's, you know, you actually have those obligations. Mm-hmm. It's just completely different. Now, a lot of people would say, well, that's PTSD. I don't think it is. I do think PTSD, it's one of two things. It's going to happen like that. There's one incident, or it's going to happen over time. And if it happens over time, I think it dissipates over time to a certain extent. But it is one of those things that has, I mean, when I first got into the civilian workforce, they were like, if you walk in and somebody's throwing their computer across the wall, how do you react? And we're like, they tell him to stop throwing the computer, man. And then, well, what if he has PTSD and he went to Iraq? And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, you can't sit there and be like, all veterans are coming out and they're going to be the ones throwing the computer.
Dude, like, the scary part of it is they tried to tag me with PTSD when I got out. And I was like, I don't want the label, one, and I don't have it, sort of. But I believe that society's going to look at people in our generation that have experienced combat, and they're going to think something's wrong with us just in general. Just if you tell somebody, hey, I was in Iraq, then they're immediately going to go with, this guy's a killer.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm not a killer. I was trained to do the things that I needed to do in order to survive and come back, but I'm not a killer. I'm not going around trying to kill anybody. And they immediately associate PTSD with something deranged. And the last letter, D, is disorder.
Yeah.
So I don't like the fact that it's called PTSD. I don't like the D on PTS. I think everyone has post-traumatic stress, and then they deal with it. If you want to call that the D, I'm for you. I can go ahead to
post-traumatic stress. You deal with it. I'm with you.
Yeah. But like, post-traumatic stress happens to everybody. So why do we have to make it combat specific? You know, it used to be combat specific. It used to be called Warrior's Heart. It used to be called the Shell Shock. You know, there's a whole list of things that it used to be called, but now we're calling everything PTSD. It's like,
I think it's, you know, if they had Ritalin when I was a kid, my mom would have pumped me full of that stuff.
Yeah, me too. Man.
Yeah, and then every kid had ADHD.
Every kid does, though.
But, well, exactly. So I think that there is that nomenclature. Like, if you were in the military and you served overseas, that it's just easier to kind of group you into this whole, you know, Ritalin kid thing, as opposed to being like, everybody is unique. And that's what I'm trying to write about, is like, I grew up small town, poor, white trash kid. I was like a recruiter's wet dream. I think my guidance counselors were like, call Morgan. No, like, seriously, one of you guys is going to get Morgan. Call Morgan. And like, that's a lot of the people that come into the military are like that. And a lot of the soldiers that when I went back in as an Army officer, like came from a broken home. Like literally, I was just staring at myself in the mirror with my young soldiers. And then when they got out, a lot of them just went back to their hometown. They were married to their hometown sweetheart. So I think there's just a lot more to it. It's in finance, it's called gigo data, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If something bad happened in the beginning, yeah, what you did in the military may have like hurt it or made it worse, exacerbated it. But at the end of the day, like you probably had some stuff all the way through that process. That's a hard one, man. I wish there was an easier answer.
Stay with us as we stay on target with another awesome episode coming up next. We'll see you there. And subscribe to Targeted Now. As an ambassador to buckedup.com, I get to give you our special discount. That's Atlas 25 when you go to buckedup.com to get that special discount. Only for our listeners, Atlas 25. Go to buckedup.com now.
Entrepreneurs, you're wasting money. Are you paying for TV, radio, maybe even newspapers? I gotta tell you, that's all dead. What's new? Well, I'm glad you asked, Atlas. It's podcasting. Just so happens I have a very successful podcast that I can put you on. And we're looking for guests. So if you have a product or service that will help people, hit us up. Atlas Aultman Targeted Podcast. We bring new audiences to new people, and we bring new people to, well, you. Check us out.
Or buy some merch. Link in the description.